Having toured the UK's most haunted villages, we now move to small towns. Although my definition is somewhat fluid and may include some medium-sized towns, like Bury St Edmunds, even Stirling, a city, but maybe not enough stories for a vlog in their own right. As with the pubs and villages, there are many that I may have missed, and most of these towns that I have visited I have found to be quite charming and not at all disturbing. At Bodmin, Cornwall, the town and the moor have a number of ghost stories. Hauntings at Bodmin Jail include Selina Wadge, executed 1878, known to appear at the execution site, often associated with cold spots and reportedly interacting with visitors. And Matthew Weeks, executed 1844, believed to roam the halls, still pleading his innocence regarding the murder of Charlotte Dimmond. The prison chapel, a phantom priest, is often reported in this area. Jamaica Inn is a historic smuggler's haunt known for hearing phantom footsteps and a ghost reported seen walking through walls. The phantom miner is said to wander old shafts and the moors with a lantern, often accompanied by the sound of tapping. Anne Jeffreys is reputed witch left to starve on the moor, sometimes linked to local hauntings. Rye, Sussex is considered one of Britain's most haunted towns, featuring centuries-old ghost stories linked to its smuggling history. The Mermaid Inn, famously haunted with reported sightings of a man walking through bathroom walls, a lady in grey, moving bottles and cold spots in the Kingsmill room. A Lamb House was known for supernatural occurrences witnessed by residents, including the family of the author E.F. Benson. A Jiggs House, described as having a haunted beauty and a strange melancholy. Camber Castle and Sands, reports of ghostly smuggler pacing the dunes near the artillery forts. Eaps Tower, historic site often mentioned in local ghost walks, sometimes associated with its former use as a prison. Manningtree, Essex is notoriously haunted, primarily by the spirit of a 17th century witchfinder general Matthew Hopkins, following his brutal, often fatal witch trials in 1645. Reports centre on his apparition near the Misterly Pond, the town's White Hart, and alleged spectral disturbances are linked to his victims executed on the village green. The White Hart Inn, considered if not the key meeting place for Hopkins and his associates. Manningtree Village Green, the site of the 1645 hangings of 4 local women accused of witchcraft. The Thorn Hotel, Misterly, associated with hauntings related to the witch trials. Bungay, Suffolk is renowned for its intense supernatural history. Primarily the 1577 Black Shuck incident, where a demonic black dog allegedly killed worshippers. A ghostly dog burst into St Mary's Church at Blythburgh Church during a thunderstorm in 1577, killing worshippers. The Old Three Tons pub, said to be one of the most haunted inns in Suffolk, potentially hosting 24 ghosts, including an 18th century highwayman named Tom Hardy, a ghost that breaks wind and another that snaps bra straps. Bungay Castle, built by the Normans, is reportedly haunted by Hugh Bigod, a rebellious earl who often returns as a black dog, according to the paranormal database. Grace Friars Priory runs are frequently reported to be haunted by monks, notes the paranormal database. The Bull Hotel, a 15th century establishment reputed to be haunted by the ghosts of Richard Everard, who was murdered there in 1648. This is a town that I have visited, and I always found it to be charming and not at all disturbing. Bury St Edmunds, Suffolk, is widely considered one of England's most haunted towns. featuring a rich history of particularly ghostly monks, the infamous Grey Lady, and tales of from its 17th century witch trials. Often seen in the Abbot's ruins, Abbeygate Street, and the Theatre Royal, she is one of the town's most famous spectres, sometimes associated with a lingering scent of lavender. Apparitions of Benedictine monks are frequently reported, including a monk seen walking in a great churchyard and another appearing in Angel Lane. The Dog and Partridge pub is believed to be haunted by the last abbot of Bury St Edmunds, John Reeve, who was seen in a priestly gown. A Moy's Hall Museum is known for its grisly artefacts in connection to the 17th century witch trials. Again, I know Bury St Edmunds very well and can highly recommend a visit, but maybe not attest to its haunted reputation. Conwy, North Wales, this walled medieval town is considered big on spooks. Plasmauer, a 16th century Elizabethan townhouse, haunted by its owner, Robert Wynne, and the ghost of a doctor who suffocated in the chimney. Conwy Castle, haunted by two hooded monks who are said to levitate on the battlements. The smallest house located on the quay, the owner has reported strange smells and cold draughts. A local believe the town to be under a curse following the death of a mermaid in the 19th century, with a laughter sometimes heard during disasters. I know Conwy very well and can certainly recommend a visit, but I'm dubious about these stories. Ruthin, Wales, a historic town in North Wales, is renowned for its intense paranormal activity, centred primarily around the 17th century Ruthin Castle Hotel and the former Ruthin Jail. Ruthin Castle Hotel, Lady Grey, known for the ghost of Lady Grey, who murdered her husband's mistress and now roams the castle, often seen in a grey dress. Other reports include a soldier wearing only one glove and shadowy orbs. Visitors have reported furniture tapping and footsteps in Ruthin Castle. The former prison is plagued by slamming doors and the spirits of William Hughes, the only inmate executed there. Reports of a ghostly whale near the NatWest Bank, formerly the old courthouse and site of the gallows. A young girl is said to haunt Upper Clwyd Street, and the Blue Lion Inn is reputedly haunted by John Henry, whose activities include moving objects. Ruthin is another charming town that I've never experienced anything paranormal in. Pendle, Lancashire is notoriously haunted due to the 1612 witch trials, where 10 people were executed following accusations of sorcery. Visitors report feeling intense anger, encountering the ghosts of the witches and hearing children near the area. It remains a top spooky paranormal location, despite me only experiencing the lovely countryside. Pendle Hill is the main site feared at night and believed to be haunted by the spirits of the accused witches. A Newcastle in Pendle St Mary's Churchyard here is linked to Alice Nutter and often visited by paranormal investigators. A Malkin Tower is reputedly home of the Pendle witches. Further away, Gallows Hill in Lancaster is the site where the hangings took place. Again, a charming town, well worth a visit, but even the jail simply feels historical. Whitby, Yorkshire, a notorious haunted English coastal town, is steeped in Dracula lore, Gothic ruins and maritime legends. Famous spectres include the ghostly nun in the abbey, a headless naval officer at Bagdale Hall, the phantom Barguest coach, and the oyster man on the shore. Its spooky atmosphere is driven by the 199 steps, an ancient graveyard. Whilst I cannot claim to know Whitby intimately, I can recommend a visit, even a short stay in this charming resort. Whitby Abbey ruins, St Hilda, is said to appear in the ruins whilst Constance de Beverley, a nun sealed alive within the walls for breaking her vows, haunts the ground. St Mary's Churchyard visitors have reported seeing an elderly couple who vanish, potentially the spirits of old bell ringers. The Barguest coach, a phantom coach pulled by a headless corpse with headless horses with burning eyes, said to collect the souls of sailors and ride through the churchyard. The Oyster Man, a ghostly figure who roams the pubs, believed to be the spirit of a man murdered after a dispute over his oyster basket. British viewers of my age will remember the Cockle Man who sold seafood from a basket around the pubs late at night. A Grape Lane ghost, a tragic story of a young girl who met her end in a bakery on this narrow historic lane. Bagdale Hall, the Tudor manor, is reputed to be haunted by Brown Bushell, a former owner, sometimes seen as a headless apparition. Bram Stoker was inspired by Whitby's eerie atmosphere for his Dracula novel, specifically the Abbey ruins and the town's connection to the sea. Jedburgh, Scotland. The jail is a notorious paranormal hotspot, renowned for its ghostly piper on the battlements and aggressive spirit of the executed prisoner, Edwin MacArthur. Built in the 1820s, the former prison is now a museum that offers overnight ghost hunts, featuring shadow figures, cold spots and disembodied screams. A popular legend, this spirit is frequently seen on the battlements, playing a mournful tune, to be believed to be the piper who died near the prison. Edwin MacArthur, an inmate executed in 1855, is often blamed for an intense, menacing atmosphere and is known to intimidate visitors. Visitors often report dark, shifting shadows in the cell's corridors and doors that slam and shut on their own. Mary Queen of Scots' house, the 16th century house where she lodged in 1566, is said to be haunted by a ghost, with reports of intense emotional experiences and strange noises. Jedburgh Abbey ruins of the medieval abbey are rumoured to have ghostly residents. Clune Park Estate, Port Glasgow, a largely abandoned, eerie 1900s estate with hundreds of derelict flats, a church and a school, often described as post-apocalyptic. God, I say this word all the same. Post-apocalyptic. Despite being mostly abandoned, it was reported to have as having less than 10% occupancy in recent years, with some people still living amidst the ruins. The estate is currently being razed to the ground in phases to make way for regeneration. Stirling, Scotland is steeped in folklore, with Stirling Castle boasting famous spirits like the Green Lady, a spectral servant, the Pink Lady, and a Highland officer often mistaken for a tour guide. Other spooky locals include the Stirling Old Town Jail and the Stirling Ghost Walk, which covers haunted spots like the Beheading Stone. The Green Lady is believed to have been a servant of Mary Queen of Scots, who died saving her from a fire. Sightings are often accompanied by sudden drops in temperature or the scent of smoke. The Highland soldier, Highlander, is seen wearing traditional kilt regalia. This spirit often walks near the ramparts or dungeons before vanishing, often mistaken for a costumed staff member. The Pink Lady is in a pink gown, believed to be a widow searching for a husband, a fallen knight, frequently spotted walking between the castle and the Church of the Holy Rood. And Nicky Tam's Bar and Bothy, formerly associated with a portrait of the minister that supposedly triggered paranormal activity. St Andrews, Scotland is reputedly home to over 100 ghosts, deeply tied to its medieval, academic and ecclesiastical history. Famous apparitions include the White Lady at the cathedral's haunted tower, the ghost of Cardinal Beaton at St Andrews Castle, and the spectral brown witch. St Andrew's Church and the Rule Tower, a white lady in a veil is often seen, along with a monk who assists visitors. St Andrew's Castle, Cardinal Beaton is said to haunt the castle, where he was murdered in 1546. The castle's bottle dungeon is known for its grim history. The Pendle, a narrow path known for sightings of a ghostly coach, a shadowy figure, and a spectral swine with the gaze of a man. Nun's Walk, another spot frequented by the Veiled Lady. University halls, for example, St Saviour's. Tales exist of student encounters, including historic ghosts and those associated with procrastination. A story told about a reckless screaming skull is associated with a house on North Bell Street. Legends say golfer young Tom Morris sometimes helps players find lost balls on the old course. In Newcastle Harbour, Northern Ireland, legend tells of a spectral banshee appearing at this coastal site. A small woman described as a banshee or spirit searching for sailors. It's said to walk amongst the boats, often associated with a high-pitched wail. A Bogey Hill overlooking the harbour, the site is linked to the 1843 fishing disaster, haunted by a woman in black weeping for the dead. St John's Church, a spectral black dog with fiery eyes has been reported here. At Tolley Forest Park, the Buell Lady is said to walk the woods, formerly associated with the nearby Tolley House. And Mourne Mountains are known to be rich in folklore, with reports of spectral sightings, particularly near old ruins and fairy mounds.